I'll now recognize myself for an opening statement. Today we are joined by the Attorney General of the United States over a matter that this committee has invested more than a year in research. In November of 2009, Fast and Furious opens. In December of 2009, DEA meets with the ATF and gives them info on Fast and Furious targets, info that could well have ended the operation. On January 6, 2010, Fast and Furious becomes, in fact, a joint exercise. On March 15th of 2010, the first Federal wiretaps are issued in this case. December 15th of 2010, Brian Terry is murdered with weapons found at the scene that came from Fast and Furious. On January 27th, Senator Grassley first asked Department of Justice about Fast and Furious, and within days, we are given a false statement of facts denying that guns were ever allowed to walk. Within days of that, we began to know that Fast and Furious was going to be difficult. That was more or less Groundhog Day a year ago. Today is Groundhog Day again. This committee has lost its patience to wait longer. We will not wait until next Groundhog Day to get answers for the American people, for Brian Terry, and for others. On March 3rd of 2011, John Dotson goes public. Agent Dotson is here today. He, too, deserves to have this nightmare of uncertainty, of having a temporary assignment, of not being allowed to do the job for which he has dedicated his career, put behind him. On October 11th, after months and months and months of this committee trying to get further voluntary cooperation, we issued subpoenas for documents. To date, we have been told two things. First of all, they are difficult and time-consuming to give us, and yet 10 times as many documents were provided to the Inspector General. More than 3 times as many people have been able to be interviewed by the by the IG, the Inspector General. Sorry, Mr. Attorney General, by your Inspector General. During that period of time, whistleblowers have consistently brought us additional information. That information allows us to glean more than most of the documents we have received through discovery. The minority can say what they want and issue the opinions they want, the memos they want. They have been absent from this, and I am disappointed for that. This is a legitimate requirement of this committee to get to the bottom of it and to get genuine change so this cannot happen again. And I repeat, the genuine change, the safeguards, the protections that were not there apparently before, so this cannot happen again. Mr. Attorney General, as we go through questioning, my question will be, when is the primary investigative committee of Congress, of the U.S. House, going to be allowed to have the same access that your own essentially self-appointed Inspector General has? The IG, if you will, the 12,000 people of the Inspector General's office throughout the government are important, and we expect them to be respected, and we expect them to receive information. But the 70 men and women that work for the majority and the 30 or so that work for the minority are a very small fraction of that. We ask very little of government by comparison to what the internal controls historically and always will ask for. Our budget is less than 1/20th of what the Inspector General's office is. We are not an agency that can ask for vast amounts of documents. We have asked you for documents, and if you look at the totality of government, we have asked for very little compared to the IG's offices. We believe, and I think the Ranking Member will join me in this, that we deserve those answers in at least as timely a fashion as your own IG gets. It is our opinion that we haven't gotten that the need for overmanaging and redacting and careful looking by teams of lawyers have gotten in the way of the legitimate speed with which we should get that. We are going to ask you many things today. Hopefully you came prepared to know a great deal about Fast and Furious. The important things that I am going to ask today are, what can you do to bring this to a close? What can you do before the IG completes her investigation to allow the American people to see change that tells them this is no longer going on and it won't go on in the future? Lastly, before I recognize the ranking member, it is this majority, at least, committee's belief that this is an operation that included reckless behavior at ATF, failure to push harder and inform more by DEA and the FBI, a U.S. attorney who clearly didn't do his job in a way that anyone should be proud of. We now have a Justice Department official who has taken the fifth. We've moved up a ways, and all of those people should be ashamed that Brian Terry is dead because they didn't do as good a job as they should. Kenneth Melson has said that publicly and privately, that he bears a great deal of that blame. The point here today is we want to know how justice will oversee every local operation, every state, every one of the various agencies that are either under your authority or in a joint exercise, joint task force become under your authority, how you'll ensure for the American people that this will not happen again, or at least the systems are in place to give us a confidence that it is much more unlikely to happen. Those are the items that I come here today, asked you to come here today, and I appreciate your being here voluntarily to answer. It's the committee's responsibility to ask. I hope we will get the answers and the commitments today that we asked for. I recognize the ranking member for his opening statement.